Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you exactly how I made my workbook. So if you want to make one just like mine, I'm going to give you all the specifics and everything you need to know. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the sheet protectors into these pages. We're going to add this black strip on there and get them ready to be punched. Whether you're punching them yourselves or you're taking them to an office supply store. I took mine to Staples and it was all ready to go, and all they had to do was punch holes and put the the plastic spiral binding on there. And this book was approximately around $5, and then the the guidebook was approximately around $3 something. So it just depends on the size of the spiral, on the cost on that. But you can also use your cinch or your bind it all or any of those things to punch through. So the sheet protectors that I used is the ones I get at Staples. They're clear, heavyweight sheet protectors, and you could use whichever ones you have. These are just the ones I happen to have, so I'm going to use these. And how many you need, if you're going to make this exact book, you need 34 individual sheet protectors. I'm pretty sure that's the right amount, 34. And you see they've got, let me scooch this. They've got this already pre-punched white strip on the side. Well, that is kind of difficult to punch through sometimes, and it's not long enough, and there's not as many, there's already 3 holes there, so that's kind of in the way. So what I did was I took a sheet of 12 by 12 black cardstock. Let me grab it here. And then I cut them down into 1.5 inch strips. Or first I cut the page, the 12 by 12 down to 11 3/8. So it'll be 11 3/8 inches tall. And then I cut them into 1.5 inch strips. So I don't remember how many it took to make them all, because I've got all of them prepared except one. But you'll need enough to cover the 34 pages. And then I scored it at 3/4 of an inch. So then when you fold it, it looks like that. Okay? So all you have to do is, let me grab another one since I wrote on that one. I'll put all the measurements below, in the description box below. All you have to do, once you've folded or cut it and scored it, is just literally take some glue, and this time I'm using Fabri-Tac glue. It doesn't matter on this part what glue you use, because it will be punched through multiple times. So all I'm going to do is run some glue. I'm going to run it down both sides. And then I'm just going to take the sheet protector, and I'm not going to butt it all the way up to the score mark. I'm going to line it up with that white mark, or that white, whatever that is, inside the, this part here, whatever that is, that white stuff there. I'm going to line it up there. I'm going to use that as a guide. And looks like I may have cut my things a little too long, but that's okay. Then I'm going to press it down just a little bit. And then I'm going to fold it over. So it looks like that. Now normally I would do a whole bunch of them, and then I would kind of clip them together so that it could dry thoroughly. But I'm not going to do that because I'm only doing just this one. Okay, so you obviously want to let that dry. So I have already done 33 of them, so I've got this big old pile here of sheet protectors ready to go. So I'm going to put those aside for just a minute. The next thing you want to do is, once you've got those sheet protectors all put together, you want to have like a sheet that goes in each sheet protector, okay? So in this case, what I did was I went ahead and printed off the entire template just on regular copy paper, whatever copy paper you want, whichever printer paper or whatever, just the real cheap thin stuff. You don't have to do anything, use anything fantastic. And so I printed them all off, the whole thing. And so all you have to do is, since I have my guidebook printed out, I am going to use this instead of going to the computer, because you can just go pull it up on the computer and write this stuff down. So all you have to do is start with the guidebook, start with page number 2, and then you just want to write on here, because it says print on your base color. It gives you all kinds of information here. So all you want to do is, I'm going to use a Sharpie, and I'm just going to write on here that this is the main base A, and this is part 1. Okay? And then down below it, I am going to write that the insert is on page 12, and that the cover is on page, whoops, 40. I just wanted to point out too, because someone is going to win this guidebook, this workbook. I mean, someone's going to actually win it and receive it. If you find any boo-boos or errors or anything, try not to be too harsh on me. My handwriting is all over the place in this, and I don't know what was going on, but I'm just letting you know that it could be a little crazy at some points in the book. Sometimes I write the word page out, sometimes I write PG. It just depends. I mean, it's just, so anyway, try to overlook some of my boo-boos or sloppiness. So anyway, so I write the cover is on page 40, and then the spines are on pages 43 and 45, and then the bindings are on pages 46 and 47. Okay? So you want to go through every page and do that and write. Oh, I was going to write another one. I was going to show you another one. Hold on. So this is page number 3. So then I would just write main base A part 2. Okay, so I'm not going to write any of the other information for the main base A part 2 because I already wrote it all for the main base A part 1. Okay, and so this up here, this top part is just a pocket. So I'm just going to write pocket on there. Okay, so I went through and did all of that for every page. Oh, for crying out loud. Oh, I know what I done forgot what I was going to show you guys. Good grief. Okay, so this is page 4, and it is the main base B, and this is part 1, and this is main base B part 2. Okay, so then again I was going to write, this is important, this is the kind of information that you need to have handy for you. So you need to write inserts. Whoa. It says portrait and landscape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a P and then I'm going to put page 13. And then I'm going to write an L and put page 12. So the P stands for portrait and the L stands for landscape. And then for the covers, again, I'm going to write a P. So that's page 41. And then I'm going to write an L. So that's page 41 as well. And then the spines, same thing. So the P is on pages 43 and 45. And then the landscape is on page 44. All right, and then bindings, the portrait is on pages 46 and 47. Landscape is on pages 48 and 49. Now, this one, the main base B, part 1 and 2, can also be a flip pocket page. So what I'm going to write on here is, I'm going to write main base B can also be a flip pocket page. I'm going to flip pocket page in a album. Okay, and then I'm going to write insert, or inserts, because there's going to be two. Whoops. The inserts for the portrait is on page 14, and the landscape is on page 15. So it's important that you write that stuff down so you don't get confused. So the flip pocket page that can be used in album A, the inserts are different than the inserts that are if you're using it as an album, okay? So you just have to remember that. So this is important. You need to write this stuff down. So I went and I did that to every page. Let me pull this back here. I'm pretty sure I've now done it to every page. Like I just wrote gift card envelope, pocket, and the insert for the gift card envelope, where it's at, diagonal pockets, mini square envelopes. Okay, so I've done that for everything on the black page numbers, okay? So that goes all the way up to, oh, and look, these, see, I wrote what this insert is for on the side so that you can see it. So that goes all the way up to page 17. The first 17 pages have black page numbers. And then I didn't write anything on pages 18 through, let's see here, 39. So those are the blue page numbers and the pink page numbers. So I didn't write anything on those. And then I did start writing again on page 40 on, because those are like the cover pages and stuff like that, and the spines and bindings and all of that. So I did write for the cover pages. I did not write on the spines because you'll see later on in the video, I wrote it on the cardstock that I'm going to cut out and stick to the page, so I didn't want to double do it. That would have been a lot of writing. So I didn't write the spine stuff down on the regular copy paper here. But for the pages, I did write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages, and then I wrote, this is the 1/2 inch binding for main base A album, and the 1/2 inch binding for main base B album portrait. Okay, so that way I know when I'm flipping through, okay, yeah, this is the one I need for that album. So I did do that for the bindings, for all of them. Again, I skipped the spines, I wrote covers, bindings, you know, I made sure I point all that out. And then I skipped again the blue and pink page numbers that are at the back here, 57 through 62 are blue and pink page numbers. Okay, I did want to point out, I did find a typo. It's not a typo. I found an error in my guidebook. And if you find an error in my guidebook, leave me a comment below in this video. I can't catch them all. I've tried. I've looked over this book. I've corrected things in this book maybe 6 or 7 times, but I keep finding little small details. So for page number 32 in the guidebook, it doesn't have a page number in the guidebook itself, but for page number 32, the mat for inserts, it's this little square one right here. It's a teeny tiny little square right there, this teeny tiny little square. It's not teeny tiny on the actual page, but that is supposed to read mat for inserts on pages 14 and 27, not page 9. So go ahead and go to your guidebook if you printed it out and fix that real quick. I am going to fix it in the PDF as soon as I possibly can. The next thing you want to do is, let me get that shiny page out there. Just scooch this over here. You want to print out certain pages onto white cardstock. I used 110-pound white cardstock that I get from Staples. You do not have to use 110-pound white cardstock. This just happens to be one of my favorites. And what you're printing on this white cardstock is the black page numbers. Not all of them, but some of them. So here are the page numbers for what you're supposed to be printing on the black cardstock. I will leave it up here for a minute so you can jot them down. But it is pages 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 50, 51, 53, and 54. So these pages, I went and did the exact same thing. I wrote down from my guidebook, I wrote down the corresponding information, and I also wrote what page number it was. So this one is page number 40. So I wrote that in the corner, and then I wrote that it was the cover for Main Base A album. So the reason this is on cardstock is this is a traceable template. This is something you're going to be tracing out. So you're going to cut it out and you're going to stick it to your plastic page, your page protector. So I did that. I guess I did not write everything down. Goodness. All right, let me find page 41 here in my guidebook. So page 41, the top one is the cover for Main Base B portrait. And then this one is the cover for Main Base B landscape. And then I'm going to write on here that this is page 41. Whoops. Okay. So you do that for page 40, 41. I showed you all that already. You do that for some of the black page numbers, especially the covers. You definitely want to do it for the covers. And you also want to do it for the spines. So here's how this one goes. This one is the spine for album A. It matches page number 40 covers. And it's also the spine for album B portrait. Okay, so what I usually do is I'm looking at my guidebook here, and the first thing it's telling me what it's for, obviously, and then it says an arrow pointing over, and it says this one is 1/2 inch, 5 pages. So I'm going to write 5 pages down here, and then the next one is 4 pages. Then the next one is 3 pages. And then the next one, wait a minute, let me see. This one is, yes, this one is 2 pages for the 1/2 inch. And then for the 1/4 of an inch, it is 5 pages. And then this one is 4 pages for the 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to write a 1/2 inch in front of all of these. Sorry, getting out of view there. And I'm also going to write the page number on here. So this is page 43. Okay. So I put the page number that it is, and then I put how many pages. It's a 1/2 inch. This is the spine piece for the 1/2 inch binding for 5 pages. And let me show you how I wrote it down in mine here, and I'll copy it here. So what I wrote was 1/2 inch. Oops, I didn't use the big Sharpie. Gets to be a lot of writing. So a 1/2 inch spine for A album, and 1/2 inch spine for B album portrait. So that way I know exactly what it's for. So then the same here, it's a 1/2 inch. So the same for this one, I'd write the same thing. And then this one down here, since it's both a 1/2 inch and a 1/4 of an inch, I'm gonna write the 1/2 inch first. So it's a 1/2 inch spine for A album, 1/2 inch spine for A album portrait. Oh, I'm sorry, B album portrait. See, I told you there's going to be little boo-boos like that through the whole workbook. So whoever gets this, I'm sorry. I tried to be neat and tidy, but it just didn't work out. And then I'm going to write a 1/4 of an inch spine for A album, and then a 1/4 of an inch spine for B album portrait. Okay, so that way, when we go to cut it out, you've got all that information on your loose piece of cardstock you're going to use as a template to cut out your chipboard or whatever cover material you're wanting to use. So I did that for all of those pages. Again, I'll put all this information in the description box below, meaning the page numbers that you print out on what. So I did that for all of these covers and then the spine pieces. Sometimes I didn't write spine, but that's the spine for the square envelope. So whoever gets this, if you need to go back and write spine on all of this, that's fine. I don't blame you. So then I did that. So that's all the white cardstock. Now some of the pages, let me find one in my workbook here. And I did not print these out because it's really just a personal choice. Oh, like here's a perfect example. On page 11, this is an insert for all the large pockets. So I went ahead and made a white template for that. So if I didn't want to print this out, I could just lay this on whatever paper I was using. It's quick and easy. Whoops. Got it all twisted and tangled there. So you can go back and do that if you wish, or you can do that as you go. That's what I've really been doing, is doing it as you go. Okay, so that's all the white pages. And then the next thing you want to do is, well, grab it here. You get your secondary colors. So in this case, I'm using cream cardstock. So here's my white, and so I'm going to use cream. So with this one, I used heavyweight cream cardstock from Hobby Lobby, and honestly, my printer was not happy with me. I don't know if I had it on the wrong settings or what, but it struggled with this cardstock. So maybe not use this, maybe use a different weight cream card or whatever cardstock you plan on using for your secondary color. And this one is blue page numbers. So you want to print your blue page numbers on your secondary color. So in my case, it's cream. So you want to print it on pages 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 57, 58, 59. Okay, those are all the page numbers that you're going to be printing onto your cream cardstock. Okay, so the same thing, you want to go, and I didn't write what it is because it's going to be stuck down to the proper page, but what you do want to do is you want to write the page number. So this is page 18. So you, on every template, you want to write the page number. And the reason for that is because this is going to be stuck down to your page protector, or it's going to be stuck down to your white template, or no, those two. Those are the only two. And then you're going to have one stuck over top of it. So there's no point in writing everything down there. So all you want to do is write your page numbers. So I have done that with all of those pages already. Let me make sure. Whoa. I mean, every single template, you want to go ahead and write that down just in case you need to know that for future reference. Okay, so I did that with all my cream colored pages, or my blue page numbers. I'm sorry, my blue page numbers. And then the last thing you want to print out is your bonus background pages, okay? The reason there's some scribble right there is because I miscounted twice. That's how awesome I am, okay? These are all your pink page numbers. So what I did was I printed 18 of the bonus background pages onto white cardstock. So after I did that, this is also, I printed on the same white cardstock, the 110 pound from Staples, right? So then after I did that, I took and printed my tabs off on top of that from the guidebook so that I can put them in my workbook. So I printed those off. I'm going to set those aside. And then I printed out certain pages. So the page numbers for that are 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 60, 61, and 62. And then you'll have one blank one left over because there is one template that needs to be, you need to make two of them. So I'll explain that in just a second. So then I went and did all of that. So I printed them off, and the first thing I do is I go through, and so this is page 30, see a pink page number, and I write at the bottom of the template, this is page 30, okay? So then I'm going to go, I'm going to find my page 30 here, and we're going to see what it is. Come on, where's page 30? There it is. So page 30 is a mat for main base A. Okay? And then the bottom part is a mat for main base B. You can write on here, what I was going to say is you can write on here what page it goes to, which would be main base A on page 2 and 3. Now page 18 is the secondary mat, so you can write that on there if you want to. You can, it doesn't matter. On page 20, or sorry, on page 4. See? Another boo-boo. It's real, people. This is real. Okay, so you can write that on there, what exactly what page it goes to. So then you want to go through and do that for every page that you have printed out on your bonus background page, okay? So then there is a page 37. This mat right here, it says mat for pocket on page 5. There needs to be 2 of these because on page 12, let me show you what I mean. On page 12, oops, can't see there. There is an insert here that is the exact same size as that. So what you need to do is you just need to, once you cut these out, you need to trace it, which is what the extra sheet is for. You cut that out, you lay it down, you trace it for this page, for it to be the traceable template mat for that page. Okay, does that make sense? So the mat for pocket on page 5 is also the mat for the insert on page 12. So after I get everything cut out, I'll trace another one for that page. And I'm going to leave myself this note here so that I don't forget. The next thing you want to do before you don't have to do it right this minute, but before you take your book to have it, have the binding done at the store, if you're doing that, or even if you're doing it at home, what you want to do is then take some time and go ahead and add them into these sheet protectors. Now the reason you want to do this is because the thickness. You want to make sure that you've got the proper thickness. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go through with my workbook. Since it got so thick, I had to oh, I didn't use that as the first page. Duh. I used that on the cover, so we'll keep that out. I had to go back to back. So there's page 2, and then on the back side of that is page 3. Because if I had a page for every single page, if I had a sheet protector for every page, the thing was double its size. And look at how big it is already. This sucker is thick. So you just want to go through and add all your pages. So I'm going to go ahead and put 2 and 3 in here. Right, so you want to do that. And then you also, well, let me go through and do that, and then we'll do the next step. Okay, so I've went through and I've put all the pages in the page, the sheet protectors, the page protectors, whatever you want to call them. And then at the bit in the back here, there are 2 extra pages that are included in the count. One is for like your journaling lines, and then the other one is for extra tabs or any extra bits or whatever. So, so I've got all that done. So then you can, if you want to, I'm not going to, but you can if you want to. You can go through and you can take all of your cardstocks that you printed out, because these will all be in the finished book in the end. But you can go on to page 40 and you can slide these in. You can do that with the white, the cream, and the traceable template ones if you want to. Again, I'm not going to do that because what I happen to know the size that I need because I already have one, but they can just measure basically this end. So these are ready to go. So I didn't want to put all that in and then have to take all that out.